I died when a giant sign that said, "Choose your future," tore loose from a roof and chose my head. In my second life, 1,200 students laughed because my awakening crystal offered me 9 futures and kept none. The crystal stood in Northgate Academy's arena. Every student touched it once and received one class with one fixed path. That was the oldest rule in this world. When I placed my palm against it, 9 colors flashed through the stone. A red sword appeared, then vanished. A green hand followed it. Then came a silver boot, a blue shield, a cooking flame, a healing thread, a throwing needle, a cleaning brush, and a black shape that the crystal refused to name. The crowd went silent for 3 breaths. Then Instructor Marcus laughed. He laughed because 1,200 students were watching and he wanted them to copy him. They did. Flint stood at the front of the gold-ranked students. His polished spear rested on one shoulder. His armor shone so brightly that a nearby bird changed direction. 9 failures in 1 crystal, he said. That may be a record. More laughter rolled across the seats. I kept my hand on the crystal. The black shape appeared again. For a moment, it looked like a card pressed against the inside of the stone. Then Marcus struck my wrist with his pointer. "Remove your hand. You are disturbing the ceremony." "What class did I receive?" I asked. Marcus looked toward the raised platform. Director Cedric sat there with the Academy Council. Cedric studied the crystal for 2 seconds, then turned his thumb downward. Marcus smiled. "Unreliable draft," he announced. "No stable weapon, no stable element, no dependable combat value." The ranking board above the arena changed. My name fell from the untested section to the bottom. The board placed me at rank 1,201. Even the empty chair beside Flint ranked above me. That received the loudest laugh yet. Marcus took the bronze badge that paid for my room, meals, and 20 gold monthly scholarship. My landlady had bought real beef to celebrate when I earned it. Marcus handed the badge to Flint. "The combat division cannot waste resources on an unstable class," he said. "Flint will receive the vacant scholarship. Jace may remain as a maintenance porter until the next review." Flint held up both badges. The viewing crystals floating over the arena caught the moment from every angle. "I always wanted a spare," he said. The students clapped. Academy law required a second test for an unknown result. Cedric could have stopped the injustice, but he rose and left. My second test disappeared with him. I had started the morning with a room, a scholarship, and a possible future. By sunset, I owned 3 copper coins and a porter tag that smelled of old socks. I did not argue. Arguments were useful only when the other side could still change its decision. Instead, I counted. The crystal had shown 9 images. The first 8 had appeared once. The black card had appeared twice. That was not random noise. Someone else had noticed. Tessa waited by the exit in a gray strategy coat, holding a notebook against her chest. A blue cord tied back her dark hair. "The crystal pulsed 9 times, she said. I counted the same. Marcus stopped the test before the 10th cycle. I counted that too. Most people looked at my porter tag first. Tessa looked at my hands. "You are not angry." "I am very angry." "You look calm." "Anger is expensive. I have 3 copper coins." Her mouth moved slightly. It was not quite a smile, but it was the first friendly reaction I had received that day. She offered me her notebook. 9 narrow peaks crossed the page. 8 were clean. The 9th had split into 2 overlapping lines. "My class measures probability," she said. 8 results had an equal chance. The black result had no probability at all. It was inserted after the others. Before I could answer, Marcus called my name from the arena floor. He threw a ring of iron keys at me. The lower storehouse flooded again. "Clear the drain before midnight. If the kitchens lose their flour, it comes out of your wages." "What wages?" Marcus considered that. "Then try very hard." Flint laughed from the tunnel. His friends followed him like ducklings wearing expensive boots. Tessa closed her notebook. "I will help." "Why?" "Because the chance that Marcus is wrong is currently higher than the chance that dinner will be good." From the smell coming from the banquet hall, her calculation was accurate. The lower storehouse sat beneath the oldest arena. By the time we reached it, night had covered the academy towers. Water ran down the stone steps. The porter lantern showed floating onions, broken crates, and 1 boot with no owner. "The drain is behind the flour racks," I said. Tessa looked at the dark water. Something large moved under that shelf. "How large?" The shelf exploded. An iron-tusk boar crashed through 3 flour sacks and charged us. It was as tall as my shoulder, metal plates covered its head, and its tusks scraped sparks from the floor. A red Academy brand burned on its side. It was not a wild animal. It had escaped from the combat pens. The night guard at the top of the stairs saw it and rang the alarm bell. Then he slipped in the water and sat down very hard. The boar lowered its head. Time slowed. A voice spoke inside my mind. It was calm, clear, and almost bored. It called my hidden class Hero of the Draft, with Master of Choice and Collector of Rejected Powers as later stages. Before every real battle, I would receive 9 random skills and 10 seconds to choose exactly 3 until the fight ended. 9 names passed through my thoughts. Quick Step, Ember Edge, Firm Grip, Minor Mend, Dust Sweep, Warm Cup, Straight Throw, Soft Landing, Player Control. The last name felt cold. The voice described player control as a black administrative skill with 1% authority. 10 seconds began to fall away. Tessa could not see the choices, but she saw my eyes move. What is happening? 9 skills, I said. I can keep 3. How long? 7 seconds now. The boar charged. Movement, damage, control, Tessa said at once. I chose Quick Step, Ember Edge, and Firm Grip. The other 6 vanished. Player control was the last to disappear. A pressure touched the back of my skull, then withdrew. The boar crossed the room like a cupboard fired from a cannon. Quick Step carried me 1 body length to the left. The boar missed my ribs by the width of 2 fingers and buried 1 tusk in a support beam. Firm Grip locked my hands around the other tusk. My strength was 6 against the boar's 22, but Firm Grip kept my hands closed for 3 seconds. 3 seconds were enough. I pulled myself onto the boar's armored neck. Ember Edge covered my porter knife in a thin red flame. The knife had been designed for rope and old cheese. For one bright moment, it became a weapon. I drove it into the gap behind the boar's skull. The beast bucked. My shoulder struck the ceiling. Soft landing would have been useful then. I had rejected it. That was the price of choosing. I held on. The flame consumed 12 points of mana each second. I had 18. After 1 second, pain burned through my arm. After another half second, the edge went dark. It was still enough. The boar took 2 more steps and collapsed into the flooded flour. White paste rose around it like very cheap snow. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then the night guard stood at the top of the stairs and shouted, "He killed an iron tusk with a cheese knife." His voice traveled well. The alarm filled the courtyard. By the time Marcus reached the storehouse, more than 200 students and porters had crowded onto the steps. Tessa knelt beside the boar and uncovered the Academy brand. "Combat Pen 7, she said loudly. "A level 8 beast." The guard lifted my knife. Half the blade had melted. "Jace was level 1, he said. I checked his porter tag at the door. The hidden voice confirmed that the kill had raised me to level 3. My mana had increased from 18 to 31. My strength had risen from 6 to 9. The crowd heard the guard repeat those numbers. The laughter stopped. Flint pushed through the students. He still wore both Academy badges. "A trapped animal is not a victory," he said. The support beam held it for him. Tessa pointed at the broken beam lying across the room. The beam did not hold anything. Then the beast was weakened. The boar chose that moment to release its final breath. It was loud and wet. Flint stepped away from its rear end. The crowd stepped away with him. Marcus examined the corpse. His face tightened when he saw the brand. "The creature escaped because a porter failed to secure the lower gate," he said. "This matter will be investigated." "I received the keys 10 minutes ago," I said. The night guard raised one hand. "I signed the gate inspection before sunset. It was locked then." More faces turned toward Marcus. He changed direction. "Regardless, Academy rank is decided in controlled combat, not in a cellar." Flint smiled. He understood what Marcus wanted before Marcus said it. "I challenged Jace to a ranking match." The courtyard erupted. Flint was level 7 and had trained since childhood with Piercing Rush, Golden Guard, and Falcon Thrust. I was level 3, and my chosen skills had vanished with the boar's death. Refusal would make my victory look lucky. Acceptance let Flint attack me before the same witnesses. Tessa leaned close. "You are injured." "My left shoulder is bruised." "You have 19 mana left. Can you draw again?" "Only if he truly intends to fight." Flint spun his spear and cut a flour sack behind him. "I intend to make this quick." The hidden voice returned. That answered Tessa's question. 9 new skills appeared in my thoughts: Mirror Skin, Soap burst, balanced feet, pebble shot, quiet breath, candle spark, needle sense, fast fold, player control. The black skill now held 2% authority. It had grown when I rejected it. 10 seconds began. Flint walked toward the moonlit practice circle. Nearly 400 students surrounded it. More viewing crystals floated above the roofs as people inside the dormitories connected to the broadcast. "Tell me the choices," Tessa said. I named them while we walked. "Mirror, soap, balance," she replied before I finished. "His rush cannot turn once it begins." I selected mirror skin, soap burst, and balanced feet. Player control vanished again. Cold pressure spread through my right hand. Marcus raised his arm. "Begin." Flint activated Golden Guard. Light covered his armor. He looked like an angry lamp. Then he used Piercing Rush. His spear crossed 15 paces in less than 1 second. Students screamed. Several were already turning away when the point reached my chest. Mirror skin reflected the first physical force that struck me, but it did not remove the pain. The spear hit like a hammer. My ribs bent. The reflected force traveled back through the shaft. Flint's arms flew upward. At the same moment, Soap Burst spread a clear layer across the stones beneath his front foot. His boot continued forward. The rest of him did not. Balanced feet kept me standing as he crashed shoulder first beside me. His spear spun into the air. I caught it with both hands and placed its point against the back of his golden collar. The entire match lasted 3 seconds. Silence covered the courtyard. Then Flint tried to rise. His soapy boots shot backward. He slid across the practice circle, passed between Marcus's legs, and entered the ornamental fountain. Water rose higher than the statue. The crowd made one enormous sound. Some students laughed. Others shouted my name. The viewing crystals turned toward the fountain as Flint surfaced with a stone fish resting on his head. The ranking board flickered. My name rose from 1201 to rank 310. Flint's spare badge floated beside him. Tessa picked it out of the water and handed it to Marcus. "The vacancy appears to be open again," she said. Marcus's face became the color of old milk. He could not erase a witnessed ranking match. 400 people had seen it in person. Almost 800 had watched through crystals. The result had already reached the public notice board outside the academy gates. Marcus finally declared me the winner. The academy paid 40 gold for the escaped beast. The coins felt heavy in the pouch. That morning, I had owned 3 copper pieces. Now I had enough to cover 2 months of rent and buy a knife that had never touched cheese. The victory raised me to level 4. My strength reached 11. My mana reached 38. More important, the arena no longer looked through me. Students moved aside when Tessa and I crossed the courtyard. Rumors gave me a hidden class, a flaming spoon, and eventually, a dragon. Tessa and I left before anyone added a second dragon. The academy kitchen had closed, so we stopped at the small food stall beneath my rented room. The landlady set down 2 bowls of beef broth without asking for payment. Thick noodles rested under slices of roasted meat. Green onions floated beside soft eggs. She added crisp chicken skin, a plate of buttered bread, and 1 honey cake she had been saving for morning. "A level 8 boar," she said for the 4th time. It was mostly flour by the end. "Flour is expensive. Eat." The broth was dark and rich. Garlic warmed the back of my throat. The noodles were soft at the edges and firm in the center. After a day of crystal dust, cellar water, and public laughter, the first spoonful tasted better than victory. Tessa broke the honey cake in half. "You chose the 3 skills I suggested." They were the correct 3. Most combat students would have chosen Pebble Shot instead of Soap Burst. Most combat students did not watch Flint fall into a fountain. This time she smiled fully. We spread her notes across the table. I described both sets of 9. She marked every rejected skill. 8 ordinary choices had vanished without any sensation. Player control had left pressure behind each time. "Its authority doubled," she said. 1% became 2. After the second rejection, it may become 4. Then we cannot keep rejecting it forever. Choosing a skill called player control seems worse. The landlady placed another piece of chicken on my plate. "Then do not choose it," she said. "Problems are simpler after food." That rule had served her well for many years. Tessa stayed until the lamps burned low. Before leaving, she gave me the blue cord from her hair and tied it around my damaged knife handle. "So you remember which weapon defeated Flint?" "The soap defeated Flint. The soap cannot wear a cord." I watched her cross the quiet street. For the first time since awakening, the future did not feel like a closed door. I went upstairs and lay on the narrow bed. My body hurt, but my mind remained clear. 1 class, 9 choices, 3 selected skills, 6 rejections. It was a simple rule. Simple rules were the easiest to break. Just before sleep, cold pressure returned to my right arm. My hand rose without my permission. 2 fingers tapped the empty air where a third choice would have been. The hidden voice whispered that player control had reached 4% authority. Then my hand pointed toward the locked tower at the center of Northgate Academy. Something inside the tower pointed back. At dawn, the Academy notice board ignored every rumor and suspended my rank for review. Marcus waited beneath the board with 6 combat teachers and enough witnesses to fill the front courtyard. Flint stood behind him in dry armor. He had replaced his gold cape, but the stone fish from the fountain had already become a popular drawing. Marcus pointed at my porter tag. Last night's match used an unregistered ability. Until Jace proves that his class is safe, the result cannot stand. The students murmured as viewing crystals rose above the courtyard. What proof do you require? I asked. The standard combat qualification, 3 stages, accuracy, survival, and rescue. Tessa opened her notebook. The qualification is normally given after 6 weeks of training. Unstable classes require immediate review. There is no rule that says that. Marcus looked at her gray strategy coat. There is also no rule requiring an analyst to interfere. That is fortunate. I would have interfered anyway. A few students laughed. Marcus did not. He led us to the Eastern Training Court. 300 seats surrounded a square of white stone. More students watched through crystals in the dining hall and dormitories. The central ranking board displayed my suspended name in gray. Marcus stopped beside a wooden practice figure. Destroy the target. I waited. No choices appeared. I punched the figure. It remained a figure. My knuckles became educational. Flint folded his arms. Perhaps his legendary soap is resting. I struck the target again. Nothing happened. The hidden class did not consider a block of wood a real battle. I could not summon 9 skills for practice, farming, or a staged threat. That limit mattered. Marcus knew nothing about it, but he saw the same result. 0 points, he announced. An ability that cannot activate on command has no place in combat. Tessa watched the iron training golem behind him. Then why is the live core light on? Marcus's hand moved away from a red switch. The golem opened its eyes. It was twice my height, with a square torso and arms like bridge supports. During normal tests, it moved at 1/4 speed. The red light in its chest meant lethal mode. It stepped off its platform. The hidden voice returned. 9 skills entered my thoughts. Straight throw, dust sweep, rope snap, bark skin, low leap, pan heat, pocket chill, nail tap, and player control. The black skill held 4% authority. Straight throw and dust sweep felt different. The voice explained that both had returned from the rejected reserve. Each was 20% stronger than before. The rejected skills had not disappeared. They had grown. 10 seconds began. Straight throw returned stronger, I told Tessa. Dust sweep too. Her eyes widened once. Then she looked at the golem. Choose both. Add rope snap. Its control cables run behind the knees. I locked the 3 skills. Player control vanished. Cold pressure tightened around my ankle. Its authority doubled to 8%. The golem charged. It moved like a wardrobe that had become angry about furniture taxes. Each step cracked the white stone. The students in the first row climbed into the second. I used dust sweep. Yesterday, it could have cleared 1 small room. With the rejection bonus, it lifted every grain of sand from half the court. A brown cloud struck the golem's face. Its crystal eyes went blind. It swung anyway. The iron fist passed over my head and destroyed the wooden target Marcus had ordered me to attack. I moved behind its knee and used rope snap. My fingers cut the tension cord beneath the armor. The golem dropped 1 level, but the second leg remained active. It turned and raised both arms. I had no weapon. Then I felt the ring of maintenance keys at my belt. Straight throw did not care whether I threw a knife, a spear, or the key to a flower storehouse. I threw the longest key. It crossed the court in a silver line and entered the narrow release slot behind the golem's second knee. The strengthened skill drove it to the ring. Both legs folded. The golem fell forward. Marcus stood directly in front of it. He jumped aside. His coat did not. 1 iron hand pinned the end of his coat to the stone. Marcus remained standing, but only because the coat held him upright. The red control switch rolled from his sleeve and stopped beside my boot. Every viewing crystal turned toward it. Tessa picked it up. Lethal mode, she said, for an accuracy test. The court became very quiet. Marcus pulled at his coat. A mechanical error. The test will continue. The target attacked me, I said. Combat targets do that. The wooden one did not. Laughter spread through the seats. Even two of the combat teachers looked away to hide smiles. My rank returned to the board. It rose from 310 to 173. Marcus tore his coat free, leaving a long strip beneath the golem's hand. Stage 2 and Stage 3 will be combined. 4 candidates entered the old quarry tunnel this morning. Their task is to retrieve rescue flags. Jace and his analyst will join them. Analysts do not enter survival trials, Tessa said. You wanted to interfere. His motive was clear now. If I entered alone and died, people might call it murder. If 6 students entered and one unstable porter caused a disaster, Marcus could call it proof. He had built his career on fixed teams and predictable skills. Years earlier, an unstable elemental student had lost control during a dungeon exercise. 2 trainees had died. Marcus had turned that memory into a rule. Anything he could not predict was dangerous. Fear explained him. It did not excuse the red switch. The quarry entrance stood beyond the eastern wall. The 4 candidates waited inside with shields and rescue ropes. They were level 5 or level 6. None volunteered to stand near me. Flint watched from the entrance. Try not to wash the mountain, he said. Try not to stand near water, I replied. The viewing crystals followed us underground. We found 2 rescue flags beneath the blue tunnel lamps. The other candidates relaxed. Tessa did not relax. She touched a red stain on the wall. Monster lure, fresh. The paste smelled of blood and bitter pepper. A line of it continued deeper into the quarry. Could an old vein have opened? One candidate asked. Tessa showed him the brush marks. Rocks rarely use brushes. We followed the marks to a bronze container hidden behind a loose stone. The Academy seal covered its lid. Tessa wrapped it in cloth and placed it in her bag. Far behind us, Marcus ordered the crystal operator to turn the image away. The operator did not obey quickly enough. Everyone outside saw the seal. A roar rolled through the tunnel. Dust fell from the ceiling. The 4 candidates raised their shields. Something heavy struck the next chamber wall, and a crack raced through the stone. A quarry ape entered the lamplight. It stood 3 times my height. Gray crystal covered its shoulders and fists. A snapped training chain hung from its neck. The Red Academy brand on its chest identified it as level 12. Our highest fighter was level 6. The ape hit the first shield. The shield folded around its owner like a metal sandwich. He flew into the wall and did not rise. The other candidates ran toward him. The ape blocked the tunnel. Time slowed again. My next 9 choices were Sound Copy, Wall Grip, Resonant Tap, Minor Mend, Warm Cup, Pebble Shot, Iron Sneeze, Fast Knot, and Player Control. The black card held 8% authority. Minor Mend, Warm Cup, and Pebble Shot had returned from the reserve. Each carried 1 rejection. Each was 20% stronger. I had 10 seconds. Choices, Tessa said. I named them. She looked at the cracked ceiling, the training chain, and the ape's branded chest. It was conditioned in the Academy pens. Sound Copy can reproduce the recall horn. The crack above its right shoulder is hollow. Take Wall Grip and Resonant Tap. 5 seconds remained. The injured candidate needs healing. If the ape reaches him, Minor Mend will not be enough. She was right. I chose Sound Copy, Wall Grip, and Resonant Tap. Player Control vanished. Pressure closed around my left foot. The authority rose to 16%. The ape charged again. I used Sound Copy. The exact call of the Academy recall horn burst from my mouth. It was loud enough to hurt my teeth. The ape stopped. Training fought rage for 1 second. Its head turned toward the sound. I ran at the wall. Wall Grip caught my hands and boots against the stone. I climbed above the ape as it realized that I was not a horn. Its crystal fist struck the place where my legs had been. I reached the crack in the ceiling. Resonant Tap placed a pulse into the rock. Alone, it could split a brick. Tessa had noticed that the chamber roof was hollow. The pulse ran through the empty vein and multiplied. The ceiling answered with a deep note. The ape looked up. I used Sound Copy again and reproduced its own roar directly above its head. It raised both fists toward the imaginary rival. The roof came down. 3 slabs struck its arms and shoulders. The crystal armor shattered. The final slab drove the beast to 1 knee. 1 candidate tried to run past it. The ape caught his rope and pulled him backward. I dropped from the wall onto the hanging training chain. Wall Grip locked my hands around the links. I swung beneath the ape's arm, planted both boots against the broken crystal on its chest, and used Resonant Tap 1 final time. The pulse entered the exposed core. The ape froze. Then every crystal plate on its body cracked at once. It collapsed under the fallen roof. The candidate's rope slid free. For 3 seconds, only dust moved. Then the viewing crystal turned toward us. Its blue light meant the broadcast was still active. One candidate slowly lowered his ruined shield. "Level 4, he said. "At the start," Tessa corrected. The hidden voice announced that I had reached level 8. My strength rose from 11 to 15. My mana grew from 38 to 79. Outside the quarry, the ranking board began to change. We carried the injured candidate out on 2 rescue poles. The crowd waiting beyond the gate was larger than the awakening audience. Students had left lessons. Kitchen workers stood in flower-covered aprons. Town residents pressed around the public notice crystal. When I appeared, they saw 6 people return from a test designed for 4. The sound hit us like wind. My rank climbed to 46. Marcus stepped onto the path before anyone could reach us. "The quarry ape escaped containment due to candidate interference," he announced. Jace's unstable class caused an unpredictable response. Tessa removed the bronze lure container from her bag. This was placed inside before we entered. That object could have come from anywhere. It has the Academy seal. Seals can be stolen. She turned the container over. A small crystal on its base still glowed red. It also has your mana signature. Every viewing crystal moved closer. Marcus's face stopped moving. The training staff had signed their tools with mana for decades. The mark could not be copied. It could not be transferred. It shone above Tessa's palm in the same red color as Marcus's combat aura. The injured candidate raised his bent shield. "He tried to kill us." The crowd repeated the words. Marcus reached for the container. Tessa stepped behind me. I did not raise a weapon. I did not need one. Hundreds of witnesses moved between Marcus and the quarry gate. The 2 teachers who had hidden their smiles in the court removed the instructor badge from his coat. Flint stood near the wall. He looked at Marcus, then at the crystal broadcasting his face. He took one careful step away from his instructor. Director Cedric arrived with the council guards. For a moment, Marcus looked relieved. Cedric examined the mana mark. "Instructor Marcus will be suspended pending a formal inquiry," he said. The crowd shouted approval. Then Cedric looked at me. "Jace's class will also remain under investigation. An unpredictable power does not become safe merely because it succeeds." The approval weakened. Cedric was protecting the academy, not Marcus. If he admitted that an instructor had attempted murder during a public test, Northgate could lose its charter. Calling the event an investigation bought him time. It also gave him control of the evidence. Tessa saw the same calculation. She kept the bronze container in her own hands. The Academy could not deny the result, however. The quarry crystal had shown everything. The rescue board awarded me 300 gold. Added to the 40 already in my pouch, my total wealth reached 340 gold. My bronze badge was returned. The second badge was removed from Flint in front of the crowd. This time, nobody laughed at me. They laughed when water dripped from the badge onto Flint's boot. Back at the food stall, the landlady served beef and tomato stew in a deep clay pot. The meat separated under the spoon. Carrots had absorbed the dark sauce. We tore warm buttered bread and dipped it until none of the gravy remained. Baked apples followed, soft with cinnamon and honey. Tessa placed 9 small pieces of paper beside my bowl. "Every rejected ordinary skill returned with 20% more power," she said. "If the increase stays constant, 5 rejections will double a skill, and 5 rejections will move player control from 1% to 32. The useful part and the dangerous part follow the same rule." I marked the skills that had returned. The reserve was not a graveyard. It was a training ground. "We can strengthen weak skills by refusing them," I said. "Only during real battles. The wooden target proved you cannot create harmless battles to farm choices. So the system has standards." It tried to throw a level 12 ape at 6 students. Its standards are flexible. The landlady added cream to the last baked apple and pushed it toward Tessa. "She is clever," she told me. I noticed. Tessa looked down at the apple. The tips of her ears became slightly red. We worked until the stall closed. She calculated possible returns. I wrote the mana costs I had felt. Together, we turned chaos into a list of odds. When she left, she stood beneath the stair lamp for a moment. "You trusted my choice in the quarry. You saw the ceiling. You could have chosen healing. Then all 6 of us would have needed it." Her hand touched mine once before she stepped away. The contact was brief. I remembered it longer than the applause. I climbed toward my room. Halfway up the stairs, my left foot stopped obeying me. It stepped backward, then it turned toward the academy. Player control held 16% authority. I fought the movement. My legs shook, but it took another step. The black skill was not strong enough to seize my whole body. It did not need to be. It only needed to choose a direction. I followed because falling down the stairs would not improve my position. The pressure guided me through the sleeping campus and stopped before the locked central tower. Tessa had seen me leave and followed at a distance with her notebook tucked beneath one arm. The tower door had no handle. A black metal plate covered its center. My right hand rose. I forced it down. It rose again. At 16% authority, player control pressed my palm against the plate. The lock recognized me. The door opened onto a room filled with black cards. Director Cedric sat alone at the far table. He looked at my disobedient hand and smiled. "Come in, Jace," he said. "The Central Bureau has been waiting for your class." The tower door closed behind me. Tessa remained outside. Cedric had not seen her in the shadow of the stairwell, and I intended to keep it that way. Black cards covered the walls. 7 wrapped academy badges rested beneath them, one for every unstable student Northgate had transferred during the last 60 years. Cedric said they had accepted bureau positions, then admitted their alternatives had been limited. Cedric folded his hands. "Fixed classes let healers prepare and commanders build teams," he said. "Your class changes between battles. That makes you valuable and dangerous." Marcus said only dangerous. Marcus lacks imagination. He also tried to kill 6 students. Cedric's expression remained smooth. "The inquiry will determine what happened. The mana mark already did. Evidence becomes truth only after an institution accepts it." There was no anger in his voice. Cedric believed what he said. Northgate's charter funded hundreds of students and protected the town from the northern dungeons. A murder attempt could close the academy. To him, one buried crime was lighter than 1,000 lost futures. He slid a contract across the table. The Central Bureau seal showed an eye above a closed fist. "Win today's academy tournament," Cedric said. "Then sign this. The Bureau will grant you a capital residence, 10,000 gold, and protected status." Protected from whom? From anyone except the Bureau. That was a very complete answer. I read the final line. It allowed a bureau inspector to assume direct control of my class during emergencies. The word emergency had no definition. What happens if I refuse? Your tournament result will give us the evidence needed to classify you. If you lose, you are unreliable. If you win, you are dangerous. Either result supports removal from Northgate. Then why compete? Cedric smiled. Because 1,200 students watched Flint laugh at you. I do not think you will walk away while they still believe he was right. It was his first mistake. He thought I wanted revenge. I wanted witnesses. I pushed the contract back. I will compete. I will decide about the contract after I win. Cedric heard uncertainty. I had given him none. He opened the tower door. Tessa was no longer on the stairs. A small piece of paper waited beneath a loose stone outside. She had drawn the bureau seal and written 3 words. I saw everything. By sunrise, the tournament had filled the arena and the outer walls. Viewing crystals carried it to public squares across the province. The tournament board showed Flint as the favorite. His odds were 2-1. Mine were 100-1. Tessa found me in the preparation tunnel. She carried 2 meat buns and 9 paper cards. "I placed 1 gold on you," she said. "Only 1? I am a strategist, not a person with money." The hot buns held beef, onion, and black pepper. Tessa handed me Cedric's copied contract while I ate. "The tower has a copying crystal," she said. "It recorded every agreement stored there." I copied the index before the door closed. 7 unstable students entered the bureau. None ever appeared in a public record again. Can we show it now? The index proves they existed. It does not prove what happened to them. Cedric will call it protected employment data. Then we need him to act in public. She nodded toward the arena. He already has. Marcus is serving as technical judge. I looked through the tunnel gate. Marcus stood beside the central platform in a fresh coat. His instructor badge had been replaced by a temporary silver tag. Cedric had suspended him for less than 1 night. The crowd noticed too. Quarry candidates held their bent shields in the front row. When Marcus appeared on the viewing crystals, a low sound passed through the seats. Cedric raised both hands. "The inquiry remains active. Instructor Marcus will oversee only arena safety." Someone near the public entrance shouted, "Keep him away from the red switch." Laughter struck Marcus from every side. He stared straight ahead. Cedric replaced the normal rounds with a special challenge between the champion and one rising candidate. The board selected me, allowing him to test my class before I gained more levels. Flint entered through the western gate. His new spear was black, with a red crystal set beneath the blade. It did not belong to a student. The weapon carried enough mana to make the air hum. "Bureau issue," Tessa said. "At least rank 4. My porter knife was rank 0. Its blue cord was clean, but half the blade remained melted. "The knife has emotional value," I said. "The spear can cut emotion." Flint was level 15 and had won 43 matches without a loss. His sponsor contract depended on graduating first. He stopped 10 paces away. "Marcus told me your power only works when you are afraid," he said quietly. He said if I press hard enough, your choices will fail. Marcus also believed a quarry ape could keep a secret. Flint tightened his grip. "I trained 12 years for this place. You received a broken class 2 nights ago and turned it into a show. Then win." "I will." The hidden voice spoke. 9 skills appeared: Teleport Step, Mirror Return, Flame Blade, Minor Mend, Warm Cup, Pebble Shot, Fast Knot, Quiet Breath, Player Control. The black card held 16% authority. Minor Mend, Warm Cup, and Pebble Shot carried 1 rejection. They were 20% stronger. Quiet Breath had also returned stronger from the fountain match. The first 3 skills had never appeared before. Together, they formed a clean line through Flint's strongest attack. 10 seconds began. "Teleport, Reflection, Flame," I told Tessa. Her eyes moved to the black spear, Flint's front foot, and the thin silver lines around the arena floor. "Take all 3, she said. "But the floor is marked. Marcus prepared an anti-space array. Your teleport distance may be cut in half." 5 seconds remained. "Can I break it?" "Make Flint break it." I chose Teleport Step, Mirror Return, and Flame Blade. Player control disappeared into the reserve. The authority doubled to 32%. Cold pressure climbed from my wrist to my elbow. For one moment my hand tried to close around the black card that was no longer there. Then time returned to normal. Marcus lowered his arm. Flint attacked before the cloth of his sleeve stopped moving. Falcon Thrust created 7 spear points. 6 were mana images. 1 was real. During Awakening Week, that attack had put 3 senior students in the infirmary. I activated Teleport Step. Space folded. The silver lines beneath my feet flashed red. Instead of moving 8 paces, I moved 4. Flint had expected that. The real spear point changed direction and entered my side. Pain cut through me. The blade missed my lung by 1 finger. I trapped the shaft under my arm before Flint could pull it free. The crowd shouted. Marcus's mouth formed a satisfied line. Tessa did not look at my wound. She watched the array. "The north mark is brighter," she called. "Force him across it." Tournament rules allowed 1 strategy call every minute. Marcus immediately raised a warning flag. Although only 12 seconds had passed, Flint activated Golden Guard. Light covered his body and pushed me away from the spear. I released it before the force tore my shoulder. Flame Blade extended my melted knife into a red edge. Flint called it a kitchen weapon, blocked my cut, and answered with 3 thrusts. I avoided 1. The next opened my sleeve. The last spun me to the ground. Teleport Step cost 20 mana, and Flame Blade cost 10 each second. I had 39 of my original 79 left. Enough for 1 teleport, 1 reflection, and less than a second of flame. Flint had spent less than half his power. My odds changed on the public board. 100 to 1 became 300 to 1. Flint lifted the black spear. The red crystal beneath its blade opened like an eye. "This is the difference between a real class and 9 accidents," he said. He used Piercing Rush. The Bureau Spear multiplied the skill. A red wave formed around Flint and tore pieces from the arena floor. He crossed the distance faster than sound. I did not move. Marcus leaned forward. The wave struck me. I activated Mirror Return. The skill did not simply block force. It accepted 1 attack and returned its direction to the sender. For half a second, Flint's Piercing Rush pushed both forward and backward. His boots dug through the white stone. The anti-space lines beneath him shattered. Tessa had been right. I used Teleport Step. With the array broken, I traveled the full 8 paces. I appeared behind Flint while his own reflected power held him in place. Flame Blade burned along my knife for the final fraction of a second. I cut through the red crystal beneath his spearhead. The Bureau weapon went dark. Flint turned with Golden Guard still active. I had no mana left for another flame. My knife was once again half a piece of cheap steel, so I struck the broken crystal with the handle. The reflected piercing piercing rush reached it at the same time. The spear exploded. Flint's golden guard protected his body. It did not protect his balance. The blast lifted him off his feet and carried him across the center line. He landed in Director Cedric's ceremonial chair. The chair folded. Flint remained sitting on the flat pieces with the dead spear across his lap. Silence held the arena. My knife blade fell off. It made a small sound against the stone. The audience erupted. 1,200 students stood. Town residents struck the outer walls with their hands. The viewing crystals shook as their operators tried to follow the broken weapon, the broken array, and Flint sitting where the director had been. My name climbed on the board. Rank 46 became rank 1. The bookmakers erased the empty chair. Marcus raised both arms. The result is invalid. The arena array was damaged. Tessa walked onto the field before he could stop her. She knelt beside the broken north mark and lifted a silver plate from beneath it. Marcus's red mana signature glowed on the underside. The array was not part of the tournament field, she said. It was installed this morning. The announcer projected the signature above the arena. The crowd turned toward Marcus. He looked at Cedric. Cedric did not move. Flint rose from the remains of the chair. He stared at the dead bureau spear in his hands. Then he looked at Marcus. You said the array was legal. Marcus said nothing. You said I needed it because he was cheating. The viewing crystals caught every word. Flint threw the broken spear at Marcus's feet. Flint finally understood that Marcus had used him too. A victory built on a hidden array would only have given the Bureau a reason to own him. 2 council guards removed Marcus's temporary silver tag. The quarry candidates began to clap. The rest of the arena joined them. Marcus stood before thousands of witnesses with no badge, no coat hem, and a broken illegal array glowing behind him. His doctrine of perfect control had produced 3 public disasters in 2 days. Cedric finally raised his hand. Jace wins. The hidden voice announced level 14. My strength rose from 15 to 26. My mana increased from 79 to 140. The tournament prize was 5,000 gold. With the 340 already mine, my wealth reached 5,340. The National Rookie Board added my name at rank 96. Students argued over who had recognized me first. Merchants offered weapons, 3 guilds sent contracts, and the academy shop raised the price of soap. Flint stood across from me. He had lost his title, his perfect record, and probably his sponsor contract in front of the entire province. He bowed once. You won, he said. It was the first honest thing he had said to me. Then cold pressure seized my right arm. The match had not ended in the eyes of the system. Marcus had delayed the formal closing signal. My 3 chosen skills still existed for 1 final second. Player control held 32% authority. My hand reignited Flame Blade. I had no mana left. The black command took it from somewhere deeper. Pain crossed my chest. A dark flame formed along the broken knife handle. My arm swung toward Flint's unprotected neck. He had just bowed. He did not see it. I caught my right wrist with my left hand. The blade stopped 1 hand width from his skin. The black pressure pushed harder. I could not overpower my own arm, so I changed the shape of it. I drove my wrist against the edge of the broken ceremonial chair. Bone snapped. My hand opened. The knife handle fell. The dark flame vanished. The audience's celebration died in a single breath. Flint stepped back. Fear replaced every other expression on his face. A woman in a white healer's coat ran from the arena entrance. Selma had taught restoration at Northgate longer than Marcus had taught combat. Silver light covered her hands. She pressed 2 fingers against my forehead and used purifying pulse. The cold pressure withdrew for 3 heartbeats. Selma's face changed. That is not a curse, she said. What is it? Tessa asked. A command. It carries administrator authority. Every viewing crystal heard her. Cedric stood very still. Selma bound my wrist and closed the wound in my side. Healing repaired flesh faster than pain could leave. She ordered the arena officials to end the match formally. The 3 selected skills vanished. The pressure stopped. No one cheered when I left the field, but they did not turn away. Thousands watched me walk beside Tessa with my broken arm held against my chest. They had seen me win. They had also seen something try to use my body after the victory. That made the truth harder to bury. Selma kept me in the infirmary until evening. Tessa brought the celebration meal there, rather than attend the academy banquet. We ate roasted duck with orange glaze, crushed potatoes soaked in butter, green peas with salt, and warm custard covered in burnt sugar. My right arm rested in a wooden brace, so Tessa cut the duck into small pieces. I can use my left hand, I said. You dropped the fork twice. The floor was hungry. She held out the next piece. I accepted it. Selma examined Tessa's records like a healer preparing to remove a rotten tooth. 1%, 2, 4, 8, 16, and now 32, she said. The authority doubles after each rejection. My purification interrupted it, but it did not reduce the number. Can you remove it? Tessa asked. Not with a healer's skill. Administrator commands sit beneath ordinary classes. I can clean the wound. I cannot remove the hand holding the knife. I looked at my brace. Then I need to find the hand. Tessa took my left hand beneath the blanket. She did not say that everything would be fine. She knew the probability was poor. We will find it, she said instead. Students placed candles beneath the ranking board outside. My name remained at the top. The frightening ending had not erased the witnessed victory. The infirmary doors opened. Director Cedric entered with 12 council guards. He carried the contract I had refused. The viewing crystals in the courtyard turned toward the windows. Jace, Cedric said, loud enough for them to hear, you are under arrest for using an illegal administrator command and attempting to murder a defeated student. Tessa stood between my bed and the guards. Selma did the same. Cedric placed a black restraint around his hand. Tomorrow, he said, the whole capital will watch us decide whether you are still a player or already a weapon. By morning, the arena had become a courtroom. Cedric placed the council table on the same platform where Flint had lost his spear. Rows of guards divided the students from the field. 40 large viewing crystals floated above the walls. The capital had ordered a public broadcast, and more than 20,000 people were already connected. My right wrist remained in its brace. A black restraint closed around my left. Cedric had frozen my tournament prize, my academy badge, and my position on the ranking board. My name still appeared at the top, but a red line crossed it. The empty chair had not returned. That was progress. Tessa sat at the defense table with 3 notebooks and the copied tower index. Selma stood behind her in a white healer's coat. Flint watched from the student seats. His sponsor had withdrawn before dawn, but he had come anyway. Cedric addressed the crystals. Northgate exists because power follows rules. Every healer heals. Every shield protects. Every swordsman can be measured. Jace changes his abilities before each battle. Yesterday, an unknown command seized his body. We cannot wait until it seizes him in a city street. The argument was strong because part of it was true. People had watched my arm move. Tessa rose. Jace broke his own wrist to protect Flint. A weapon that jams is still a weapon. Then investigate the command instead of imprisoning its target. Cedric lifted the black restraint contract. We offered investigation. He refused. You offered ownership. She placed the copied bureau contract beneath a projection crystal. The line allowing direct control appeared above the arena. The public channels filled with noise. Cedric did not blink. A standard emergency clause. Its use requires director approval. Your approval. Correct. He was not ashamed. That made him more dangerous than Marcus. Cedric called the tournament attack proof that my class could not be trusted. Tessa called Flint as a witness. Flint walked to the center of the field. Jace stopped the blade, he said. No one else did. Did he create the blade? Cedric asked. Yes. Did his arm attempt to kill you? Yes. Then the danger is established. Flint looked toward me. So is his control. Cedric dismissed him. Selma presented the result of purifying pulse. She explained that player control carried authority beneath normal class layers. Could you remove it? Cedric asked. No. Could Jace guarantee that it will not act again? No. The crowd became quieter. Cedric spread his hands. The Bureau therefore requests a controlled combat examination. If Jace retains command of himself against an Academy Guardian, he may enter supervised service. If he fails, the Guardian will restrain him. The eastern gate opened. A bronze Guardian entered the arena. It stood 4 times my height and carried a stone blade longer than a wagon. Blue fire burned inside its empty helmet. The public board identified it as level 26. I was level 14, injured, and restrained. That is an execution unit, Selma said. It is a restraint unit, Cedric replied. The Guardian drove its blade into the ground. The impact cracked the defense table and scattered Tessa's papers. It appears enthusiastic, I said. Cedric ordered the guards to remove my restraint. The examination begins now. The hidden voice returned. 9 choices formed in my thoughts. Silken thread, weight shift, glass edge, minor mend, warm cup, bark skin, fast knot, needle sense, player control. The black card held 32% authority. Before I could touch a choice, it moved. Player control locked itself into the first slot. My 10 seconds became 7. Cold pressure covered the right half of my body. My foot turned toward Cedric, although the Guardian stood in front of me. It selected itself, I told Tessa. Her face went pale. You have 2 slots. Take Silken Thread and Weight Shift. No defense? The Guardian's joints are exposed. Make its weight fight it. I selected both. The Guardian swung. Player control forced me to step toward the blade. Time stopped before it touched me. The arena lost its color. The crowd froze with open mouths. A woman stood between me and the falling stone edge. Gray symbols formed her coat, her hair, and the tired lines beneath her eyes. My name is Iris, she said. I administered the class layer before the Bureau removed my access. Can you remove player control? No. You have fed it through 6 refusals. I rejected it 5 times. It rejected your original fixed class before awakening. That was the first. The answer explained the black shape inside the crystal. Iris touched the frozen Guardian blade. Your soul entered this world without a system identity. The class layer could not bind one path to you. It opened the old drafting tool used when the system was built. 9 candidates, 3 active selections. And the black card? A compliance command. When a player cannot be classified, the system assigns a controller. Every refusal raises its priority. At full authority, you will remain awake while someone else makes every choice. The color began to return. Who will control me? Iris looked toward the capital viewing crystal, the first person holding the root seal. Time resumed. The Guardian's blade fell. Player control had moved me into its path. I used weight shift and made my body as light as cloth. The wind from the blade threw me aside instead of cutting me in half. I landed against the Guardian's arm and cast silken thread around its elbow. The thread was almost invisible. It could not hold the Guardian by strength. It did not need to. I tied its elbow to the hilt of its own weapon. The Guardian pulled the blade free. Its arm bent inward. Tessa watched my movements. The black command acts every 3rd decision, she shouted. 2 of yours, then 1 of its. I dodged left. I cast a 2nd thread around the Guardian's knee. The 3rd decision arrived. Player control forced me to run straight toward Cedric. The Guardian followed. Cedric's guards scattered as the stone blade crossed the council platform. Cedric jumped over his chair. The blade turned the table into firewood. The crowd reacted with one sharp roar. The restraint unit is attacking the judges, Tessa said. Very controlled. I reached the edge of the platform and used weight shift on the Guardian's raised leg. Its mass doubled at the instant the tied knee moved. The joint locked. The forward motion continued. The Guardian fell onto the council seats. Its stone helmet struck directly in front of Cedric. He rolled beneath the projection table. When he stood, a broken council banner covered his head. The viewing crystals followed him. I pulled the silken thread attached to the Guardian's elbow. Its own blade turned toward the blue core inside its helmet. Player control seized my hand and tried to release the thread. Now, Tessa shouted. I had learned the rhythm. I gave the command 1 easy decision. My fingers opened. Then I used my next decision to wrap the loose thread around my brace. My whole body became the knot. The Guardian pulled. Its stone blade entered its blue core. Light burst from the helmet. The Guardian froze, bowed forward, and stopped with its face against Cedric's platform. The hidden voice announced my victory. I reached level 18. My strength rose from 26 to 34. My mana increased from 140 to 190. The arena stared at the fallen execution unit. Then the national board moved my name from rank 96 to rank 31. 20,000 remote viewers had watched the Guardian chase Cedric through his own courtroom. The drawings began before the smoke cleared. Cedric threw the council banner aside. End the broadcast. No crystal moved. Selma stood beside the medical relay. The examination caused injuries, she said. Medical law requires a complete record. I am the director. Bleeding does not care. Tessa gathered her scattered papers. The examination also proved Jace can predict and resist the command. It proved the command already chooses skills for him. Then tell the audience why the Central Bureau contract grants you permission to use that same command. She placed the tower index under the projection crystal. 7 names appeared with transfer dates. Beside each was the same black administrative code Selma had found inside my class. Selma added infirmary records. Every transferred student had reported lost movements, missing time, and pressure behind the eyes. They were not employed, Tessa said. They were processed. The capital channels exploded with messages. Cedric reached for the records. Flint and the 4 quarry candidates stepped between him and Tessa. More students joined them. Cedric looked across the arena he had controlled for 15 years. Every witness now faced him. Northgate would have closed, he said. 7 unstable students against thousands who needed this academy. I chose the institution. You chose your chair, I said. He looked at the broken pieces beneath the Guardian. Something in him snapped. Golden symbols covered his hands. His fixed class, command seal, allowed him to suppress any skill registered under Northgate authority. He pointed at Tessa. Kneel. Her legs buckled. The order carried hostile intent. My next 9 skills appeared. Seal break, voice echo. Open hand, quick step, candle spark, minor mend, dust sweep, quiet breath, player control. The black card held 32% authority. It reached for the first slot. I rejected it before it arrived. The cold pressure struck my whole body. Player control rose to 64%. I chose Seal Break, Voice Echo, and Open Hand. Cedric ordered me to kneel. Seal Break shattered the golden words before they reached my legs. I crossed the platform with quick step, still sitting useless in the rejected reserve. I had no movement skill. Cedric expected speed and raised his guard too early. Open Hand removed one held object without causing injury. I used it on the director seal hanging from his neck. The seal appeared in my palm. Every Northgate suppression command failed. Tessa stood. Cedric attacked with his bare hands. He was level 24 and stronger than I was. His fist struck my injured side. I hit the floor. He raised another command. I used voice echo. His own words from the tower rolled across the arena in his exact voice. Evidence becomes truth only after an institution accepts it. The sentence repeated through 40 viewing crystals. Students answered from every seat. We accept it. The town crowd beyond the walls repeated them. We accept it. Messages from the capital filled the projection field with the same words. Cedric looked around. For the first time, his institution no longer belonged to him. He tried one final command. I used Seal Break on the class mark across his chest. The golden symbols burst. Their recoil threw him backward into the fallen guardian's open hand. Its stone fingers closed around his coat as the remaining power died. Cedric hung above the ruined council table, held by the restraint unit he had chosen for me. The whole arena watched. Tessa lifted the copied contract. Director Cedric, she said, your controlled examination is complete. The applause shook dust from the walls. The public crystals replayed Cedric's own confession beside the 7 transfer records. Parents gathered outside the tower and demanded every file. Students pulled his portrait from the entrance hall before the guards finished lowering him. By sunset, copies of the archive had reached every provincial council. No quiet inquiry could swallow the evidence now. The victory raised me from level 18 to level 22. My strength reached 42. My mana reached 260. The National Young Fighter Board moved my name to rank 9. The council guards removed Cedric's seal and opened the tower archive. Under charter law, the Academy owed restitution for an illegal lethal trial and withheld rewards. My total payment reached 30,000 gold. Cedric lost his position before the broadcast ended. By afternoon, no one called my class unreliable. The new public argument was whether it should be called impossible or unfair. Soap remained expensive. I spent 10,000 gold before sunset. The food stall and the rooms above it had belonged to a distant owner who planned to sell them. I bought the whole building and placed the deed in my landlady's flour jar. After the purchase, I still held 20,000 gold. Near midnight, she cooked roast fish with lemon, crisp potatoes, soft onions, and small cakes filled with hot apple. Selma joined us long enough to inspect my wrist. Iris appeared only as a faint gray reflection in the window. Nobody else could see her. Tessa sat beside me at the narrow table. You bought a building on the same day you defeated an academy director, she said. The building was cheaper. Was it more difficult? The owner negotiated. Cedric mostly shouted. She laughed and leaned against my shoulder. For a few quiet minutes, there were no rankings, contracts, or black cards. There was only warm food, a safe room, and her hand resting inside mine. Then, every lamp in the street went dark. The mark of my class vanished from my skin. Selma's healing light failed. Tessa's probability sense disappeared. Across the academy, students cried out as their fixed skills shut down. Black carriages surrounded the building. A man stepped from the first one. Victor wore the eye and fist seal of the Central Bureau. A root crystal glowed in his palm. Player control tightened around 64% of my body. Victor looked through the window and closed his fist. Everyone in the room fell to their knees except me. "The academy trial is over," he said. "Now the owner has come to collect his player." The midnight bells began as Victor entered the food stall while the roast fish was still warm. Behind him, bureau agents filled the street. Their black armor carried no personal marks. The root crystal in Victor's hand sent a pale line toward every class user in the district. Students stumbled from the academy dormitories. Teachers could not summon light. Combat pets lay quietly in their pens. One crystal had turned thousands of heroes into ordinary people. My hidden drafting class had also disappeared. Player control had not. The black command wrapped around my muscles like cold wire. 64% of my body answered Victor. My left knee touched the floor. I held the right one upright. Victor examined me with calm interest. "More resistance than the previous 7, he said. Tessa looked up from beside the table. "Where are they?" "Serving public safety." Cedric used the same answer. Cedric was a school director pretending to understand state power. Victor placed a new contract on the table. A drop of lemon sauce touched one corner. "Sign, Jace. The control field will remain active until you do. Hospitals are already losing healing skills. Gate teams cannot maintain the northern barriers. Every minute of resistance creates a cost." He had not threatened only me. He had made the whole town into a clock. Selma strained against the command on her body. "You disabled healers to prove that control protects people. Temporary pain prevents permanent disorder." Victor looked toward the dark academy towers. "I was a child when 2 high-ranked teams argued over who would command a dungeon retreat. One withdrew, one attacked, the dungeon broke. My district lost 9,000 people in one night. Fixed classes did not fail us. Choice did." He believed control was mercy because chaos had once taken everything from him. The reason was human. The method was still a chain. Victor opened a bureau viewing crystal. The wall above the food stall became a public image. The Capitol Square appeared, then provincial halls, guild chambers, and army posts. More connections joined each second. "The nation watched your trial," he said. "It will watch your correction." The audience count passed 2 million. He wanted witnesses too. That made 2 of us. Victor commanded my hand to take the pen. My fingers closed around it. I spent every part of my remaining control on one movement and drove the pen through the contract into the table. "No," I said. The word carried hostile intent in both directions. The old drafting interface returned beneath the bureau field. It did not belong to my registered class. I had no registered class. Victor had shut a door that the system had never managed to attach to me. 9 choices formed in my mind. Player control, mirror return, free step, flame blade, minor mend, dust sweep, pebble shot, quiet breath, warm cup. The black card held 64% authority. It reached for the first slot. 10 seconds began. "The choices are back," I said. Victor's expression changed for the first time. "Impossible. That has become a popular name for my class." Tessa could not use probability sense, but the Bureau had not disabled her mind. "Name them." I did. 7 seconds remained. "Player control is a selected skill," she said. "Every skill you select uses your intent. The name does not say system controls player. It says player control." Victor understood before she finished. He tightened the root seal. My hand moved toward the black card. This time, I did not resist it. I selected player control myself. Cold filled my skull. My sight went black. Victor smiled. "Mine." Inside the darkness, Iris appeared. Gray symbols moved across her coat faster than before. "Selected skills obey the chooser," she said. "The compliance command has never been voluntarily selected by an unregistered player. Who holds authority now?" "You hold 64%. Victor's root seal holds 36. 4 seconds remained. "How do I reach 100? Iris showed me the rejected reserve. Dozens of weak skills floated there. Their accumulated growth formed exactly 36 points of authority. Every useful rejection I had saved could be converted once. The price was simple. Straight throw would return to its original strength. Dust sweep, minor mend, warm cup, quiet breath, and every other stored skill would lose all growth. Days of choices would become 0. I had spent 2 lives learning that a future was not valuable because it was easy. It was valuable because it was mine. Use all of it, I said. The rejected reserve burned white. Player control reached 100% authority. I selected mirror return and free step with the final 2 seconds. Time resumed. Victor closed his fist. Kneel. The command entered player control. The skill asked for my intent. I gave it 1. Stand. My left knee left the floor. Every muscle returned to me at once. The cold wire snapped. The black command remained inside my chosen slot, but I was now the hand holding it. The capital square went silent. Victor raised the root crystal. The bureau seal outranks a player. Then you should not have made me the controller. He sent the shutdown command directly into my chest. I used mirror return. The pale line reversed. It struck the root crystal and traveled through every connection Victor had opened for the broadcast. Bureau seals across the nation flashed. Agents in the street staggered as their own control marks unlocked. Tessa stood first. Selma rose beside her and restored a healing light over both hands. Across Northgate, lamps ignited. The northern barrier returned. Combat students felt their classes rush back and poured into the street. The effect traveled beyond the town. Capital healers restarted interrupted treatments. Gate crews raised shields that had been falling. Soldiers under bureau seals looked at their commanders and discovered that obedience had become a decision again. In the capital square, the silent crowd began shouting before Victor could issue another order. 2 million witnesses watched the Bureau's perfect field break in less than 1 minute. Victor did not retreat. Root armor covered his body. His level appeared on the public crystal. 32. I was level 22. He formed a spear from black commands and crossed the stall in 1 step. The point struck my chest. Free step removed 1 restriction from my movement. I chose distance. For 1 step, the space between 2 places could not stop me. I moved outside the stall as the command spear destroyed the table behind me. Roast fish, potatoes, and Cedric's old contract rose into the air. The landlady caught the fish plate before it fell. Fight outside, she said. We obeyed. Victor followed me into the street. Bureau agents surrounded us, but none attacked. The reflected command had returned their choices. Some lowered their weapons. Others turned their viewing crystals toward Victor. He used root chain. Black links erupted from the ground and wrapped around my arms. I controlled my body, not the world. The chains held. Victor drove his spear toward my throat. Tessa watched the root crystal. Every command returns to his right hand, she shouted. Break the crystal, not the armor. I activated player control on myself. It did not make me stronger. It removed hesitation. I ordered every muscle to follow one purpose: reach the seal. My shoulder dislocated as I pulled through the chain. Skin tore from my wrist. Free step removed the restriction of the final link, and my hand passed through it. Victor's spear reached me. Mirror return had already been used on the shutdown field. It should have been gone. The rejected reserve was empty, but the selected player control held administrator authority for the battle. I ordered the remaining reflection to return 1 more action. The skill obeyed at a cost. Pain crossed my eyes. Half my mana disappeared. Mirror return cracked inside its slot. Victor's spear turned. It struck his own root armor and opened a line across the chest. I used free step through that opening and closed my hand around the crystal. Victor caught my throat. Without control, people repeat the same disaster, he said. With control, only one person chooses the disaster. I did not try to crush the crystal. His grip was stronger. I used player control through it. Victor was a registered player connected to the root seal. For one action, the command recognized him as its target. I repeated the order he had given the whole town. Kneel. His hands released me. Victor dropped to both knees in the center of the street. The public crystal showed his face, the broken root armor, and the bureau agents standing freely around him. He tried to rise. I placed one hand on his shoulder. You said the nation should watch my correction. The command held him down. It watched yours instead. The roar from the academy reached the Capitol broadcast a moment later. Students climbed onto roofs. Town residents filled the road. The quarry candidates lifted their bent shields. Even Flint stood at the academy gate and laughed when someone placed a paper stone fish on Victor's head. The bureau inspector had arrived with an army, disabled a whole district, and ended the night kneeling outside a food stall beneath his own command. No institution could hide that result. The root crystal broke in my hand. The hidden voice announced victory. Power from the shattered seal raised me from level 22 to level 30. My strength reached 60. My mana reached 400. The national board tried to place my name above rank 1. The crystal flashed 3 times, then replaced the number with 1 word: independent. That single word spread across every ranking board connected to the broadcast. Guild leaders withdrew contracts containing control clauses. Students in fixed classes began asking why safety had always required silence. The Bureau had built its authority on the belief that no player could refuse the root seal. 2 million witnesses had just watched one do it. Emergency law transferred the Bureau's offered contract payment and unlawful seizure bond to me. My wealth rose from 20,000 gold to 100,000. More important, every controlled agent retained the right to lower a weapon. Most did. Victor looked at them and finally understood what his system had never measured. Some stayed beside him, some walked away. A few helped Selma treat the injured. Choice produced disorder. It also produced mercy. Inside my mind, Iris stood beside the black card. "You hold full administrator authority until the battle ends," she said. "You may issue one final command." I looked at player control. It had appeared in every set. It had grown from 1% to a hand around my body. Destroying it would also destroy every bonus in my rejected reserve. That payment had already been made. "Delete player control from my class," I said. The black card cracked. For an instant, another presence looked through it from somewhere far beyond Iris. It was older than the Bureau and larger than any dungeon. Then the card broke into silent pieces. The cold pressure vanished. The system recognized the completed path called Collector of Rejected Powers. It gave me no second sheet. It only named what I had done. I had collected every rejected future and spent them to choose myself. The battle ended. Morning found us back inside the repaired food stall. The landlady had saved the roast fish, but she declared it breakfast soup and refused discussion. She served thick beef noodles instead. Roasted pork rested beside soft eggs. Green onions, sesame, and red pepper covered the broth. Honey tea steamed in small cups. Selma repaired my shoulder while eating with her other hand. The windows had been replaced with plain boards, but sunlight entered through every crack. Neighbors brought a new table, 6 mismatched chairs, and more bread than we could eat. Students waited outside with flowers, job offers, and questions. The landlady locked the door until we finished breakfast. For 1 hour, independence meant that nobody was allowed to interrupt the noodles. Victor had been taken to the capital by agents who chose to follow the law rather than his seal. Cedric and Marcus waited for public trials. Flint had accepted a place in the ordinary combat division without a sponsor. The academy board still displayed independent where my rank should have been. Tessa sat across from me with 9 fresh paper cards. "All rejection bonuses are gone," she said. "Your reserve returned to its starting strength." "Then we begin again. You are level 30. That is not the beginning." "The empty chair may still challenge me." She put down her pencil. "At Awakening, everyone saw a broken class. I saw 9 answers. You also saw a 10th shape. I saw you keep your hand on the crystal while 1,200 people laughed. That was the answer I trusted." The stall became very quiet around us. Tessa leaned over the paper cards and kissed me. It was brief, warm, and far more difficult to calculate than a quarry ceiling. When she sat back, the landlady placed another egg in my bowl without comment. Selma smiled into her tea. Iris appeared in the steam above my cup and looked politely toward the wall. For the first time in 2 lives, I had money, a home, a name the world respected, and someone who had seen me before any of those things existed. Then the hidden voice returned. 9 skills appeared in my thoughts. None of them was black. There was no enemy in the stall. No one nearby intended harm. The drafting interface should not have opened. Tessa saw my expression. "What did you receive?" 9 choices, I said, and something else. A 10th shape formed beyond the skills. It was not a card. It was a door. Something struck at once from the other side. Iris turned from gray to white. The system announced that the Prime Administrator had begun its descent and that the next battle had already started. The door shook under a second knock. I had 10 choices now. For the first time, I wished there were only 9.